EIC, Earned Income Credit. So there you go. If you want to, I'm going to write it to you a little smaller here. Earned Income Credit. Okay, so Earned Income Credit. And the most important part about the credits, right? It's understanding that they're not for everyone. That remember what I told you at the beginning of the class. I said, stop looking for the refund. Your job is not to look for refunds. Your job is to prepare an income tax return, right? An income tax file for the IRS. Your job is to do it right. You're supposed to do it right. You're supposed to look for every single way to make sure that the refund, that the return is correct, but not necessarily look for a refund. Look for things like mistakes. Look for things like forms that you forgot. Look for things that answers that you haven't, or questions that you haven't answered. But don't get yourself in the habit of like looking for more money, because sometimes the money's not there and you're going to frustrate yourself, or you're going to have situations where you can get yourself in trouble for looking for money that's not supposed to be there. So lo más importante que hay que entender de los créditos es que no todo el mundo recibe créditos. No tienes que estar preocupado solamente por cuánto dinero. Recuérdate que no se trata solo de cuánto dinero recibo, sino de cuánto dinero pagué también. Entonces, de repente hay preparadores que se meten en problemas por eso, ¿no? Porque le ponen más atención a buscar el dinero que asegurarse que su declaración esté bien, ¿no? Y hay momentos, hay situaciones donde el dinero no va a estar ahí, no importa lo que tú hagas, cómo lo hagas, el dinero no va a estar ahí, no existe la forma en que tú puedas. Recuerda que es matemática, ¿no? 2 más 2, 4. Cuando ya llegaste a ese 4, ya no hay más dinero que puedas recibir. No importa lo que dijo el compadre, la comadre, el preparador, no importa lo que dijo, lo que importa es lo que dice la ley. So remember that 2 plus 2 is 4, and whenever you hit that 4, whenever you hit that number, it's over. That's what you're getting. There's no more. It doesn't matter how much more expenses you put in the system. It doesn't matter how much more forms you put in the system. It's not going to change because you've already gotten to the limit based on what I showed you on Monday. Based on the 5 factors that build the return, you already got to the limit, right? So let's talk about earned income credit. And there's a few things that you need to know about earned income credit. And let's talk about number 1, who qualifies? Who qualifies? Right, who qualifies? So who's going to qualify for the earned income credit, right? So who is going to qualify? So let's just say qualify. Let's just do a Q, because I don't remember exactly how to spell qualify, but you understand. Who qualifies? Who qualifies? Who's going to qualify for the earned income credit, right? Who needs to, who can actually receive that money? ¿Quién califica para el earned income credit, no? Para el crédito de trabajo, si lo quieres llamar de esa manera, crédito por trabajo. ¿Quién califica? Ok. So vamos a hablar de ese tema, ¿no? Entonces también vamos a hablar y lo vamos a llevar ahí punto por punto. So we're also going to talk about how much. How much is the credit? How much is the credit? ¿Cuánto es el crédito? No, vamos a estar hablando de eso, ¿no? How much is the credit? So let's talk about a few important things, right? And what do I need to get? Why do I need to get that credit, right? Why do I need to get that credit? Think about this: earned income, okay? Earned income, right? Earned income. So in order for you to qualify, you have to have earned income. You have to have, so that means is that if I want to qualify for earned income credit, I need to have income. I need to be reporting income. So who qualifies? Let's talk about this. People who are working. people who are working. Okay, so if you are one of those people that you have a job, then you could probably qualify for this. But so ¿quién califica, no? ¿Quién califica? So, estamos hablando de que aquellas personas que califican son aquellas personas que, número uno, tienen un trabajo, o sea, que están trabajando. Por eso se llama earned income, o en español se llama el crédito de trabajo, ¿no? So, crédito de trabajo. Entonces, estás hablando de que para poder recibir el crédito de trabajo, primero tengo que comprobar que sí trabajé, que sí estuve trabajando, que sí tenía dinero, ¿no? Que por lo menos intenté trabajar, ¿no? Entonces, para eso necesito una forma W2, una forma 1099, algo que diga que sí estoy trabajando, que sí estuve trabajando en el año, ¿no? So, earned income. Por eso se llama crédito de trabajo, ¿no? So, qualifies. I believe that's the letter. It's too early. It's too early. Muy temprano. Ok, entonces vamos a hablar de los puntos no importantes. ¿Quién califica para ese crédito, no? Ok. Número dos, cuando hablamos de este tema, ¿no? Necesitas tener dependientes calificados. You need to have qualified dependents. So let's talk about dependents. So qualified dependents, right? Qualified dependents. What does that mean? What is a qualified dependent? Qualified dependent, right? Well, what does that mean? Remember yesterday I told you what a qualified dependent was, right? What a dependent was. Dependent has to live with me. I have to support this dependent. The dependent can't be claimed by anybody else as a dependent, right? The dependent, it's mine. I have lived with me. I have full support, right? And the dependent is under 17. Okay, I want you to write this note. Quiero que escribas esta nota porque aquí esto es un poco diferente. Under 17. So what does that mean? ¿Qué quiere decir esto? What does that mean? This means that a dependent, let's say that my son is 18 years old, and you know, he's still my dependent, but because he's over 18, I'm sorry, because he's over 17, he can no longer help me to get this credit. He's still my dependent. I'm still going to get an extension of $4,050 for him. If you remember the class from yesterday, you're still going to get an extension of $4,050 for him, but you can no longer use him for this credit because he's over the age of 17. Okay? So you'll realize that, you'll see that whenever the person, whenever you put this person in the system, you'll see that the system is not going to give you a credit because this person is over the age of 16, right? So it's got the person has to be under 17 for them to be able to take advantage of this credit. And here I go again, unless the person is a student, right? If the person's a student, you can claim this person all the way through the 24 years old, just like I showed you yesterday. But it's very important that you that you make the differentiation between being a dependent and actually being able to obtain a credit. Okay, so it's very important that you differentiate. I'm a dependent. Dependent means that I'm going to get an extension, $4,050, right? But I could also qualify for credit, but I have to be under the age of 17 in order for me to qualify for this credit. Okay, so if I'm 18, I'm still dependent, but I'm not going to be able to qualify for this credit because I am over the age limit. So recuerda eso, ¿no? Que un dependiente calificado, el día de ayer hablamos del dependiente calificado y hablamos de ciertas edades, pero para este crédito, para estos créditos y este crédito del IRS dice, si Si ya cumpliste 17 años, ya no puedes participar en este crédito, al menos que seas estudiante, ¿no? Entonces, ahí es donde se complica un poco todo el proceso de impuestos, ¿no? Porque de repente si no le pones mucha atención, te vas a confundir. Por eso es importante que hagas tus notas, ¿no? So who qualifies? People who are working, people who have dependents who are under 17, right? So, and then filing status. Filing status, right? You have to be in you either have to be single, married, filing jointly, or head of household, or widow. Okay, if you remember your statuses from yesterday, si te acuerdas de los estatus del día de ayer, tienes que estar en uno de estos estatus. O puede ser soltero, casado, conjunto, cabeza de familia, o viudo. Single, married, filing jointly, head of household, or widow. You have to be in one of those. You have to be in one of those filing status, right? So basically, what I'm saying is that if you are in the filing status, married filing separately, you cannot take the earned income credit, right? So, but if you're single, you can qualify for the earned income credit. In some cases, you can qualify for the earned income credit. And then you have the married filing jointly, and then you also have the head of household and widow, right? And then we say how much credit can I receive? How much credit can I receive, right? And this is something very important, right, for everybody to understand, because there is sometimes a misunderstanding, and I'm gonna put it on the screen here for you. And there's sometimes a misunderstanding of how the earned income credit works. And sometimes people don't understand that it's the earned income credit is not about how much taxes you paid. It's not about how many kids you have only, right? That's part of the process, but it's not only about how many kids you have or things of that nature, right? So one of the things that you're going to understand, right, is how much, right? And I'm gonna share this with you here in a second, right? And how much can I receive? That's one of the most important questions, right? Well, how much money is the IRS going to give me if I apply for it, right? What do I need, right? What do I need to qualify? And we looked at what do I need to qualify. How much do I need? How much am I going to get? Well, the maximum amount you can get is $6,229. Okay, write that down there. I'm going to give you some time for you to write it down. The maximum amount that you can receive is $6,229. And then some people misunderstand this. And what does that mean? How much is that? Does that mean that I'm going to get that per kid? Does that mean that I'm going to get that? How am I going to get it? Right? How am I going to get the earned income credit? Is this a per kid situation? No, this is not a per kid situation. This is the maximum you can get based on several factors, right? But this is for one return only, not for kid. So I'm going to show you what those factors are here in a minute when we actually understand how much. But I really want you to pay attention to this part. It's not a credit that increases or decreases with how much taxes you pay, with things of that nature, right? It's a credit that is going to have several factors in place, and I'm going to show you those factors. But I want you to write one more note here. Who qualifies? I need to have Social Security. Okay, Social Security. Okay, who needs to have Social Security? Write that down there. Who needs to have Social Security? Social Security, everybody, everyone needs to have a Social Security. So let me give you this example. If you're, if in the return it's you, your spouse, and 3 kids, then everyone should have a Social Security, because whoever doesn't have a Social Security, that person is not going to be part of the earned income credit. If the husband has a Social Security, the husband, and you'll run into those situations where the husband has a Social Security, the mom doesn't have a Social Security, and the mom is the one that's generating the income. Then you have a problem, right? Because or the husband has a Social Security and not generating income. So you got to remember that everyone has to have a Social Security. Okay, this credit requires that everyone has a Social Security. Whoever doesn't have a Social Security cannot participate in the earned income credit. So if the parents don't have Social Security, then that means that there's no income credit, right? If the parents have Social Security and the dependents have no Social Security, then that means that there's no income credit. So I'm gonna ask you questions here in a minute, so that you don't, so that you understand this process a little better. But remember this: the system's going to help you. The system's going to help you with taxes, with calculating the taxes. The system's going to help you calculating the math as well. So what I want you to do is understand who qualifies, understand who, how much, what's the maximum you can get. So any family can apply for earned income credit through the income tax return and receive up to $6,269. So here, let's change that to 69. Okay. And the one thing I want you to pay attention is that this credit is going to change every year. Okay, so it's not going to be the same every year. So don't think that that last year was the same. Last year was $6,248. This year is $6,269, and it's been changing like that for a few years already. So that's why I told you at the beginning of this class. I said, hey, don't compare income tax returns just to compare the number, right? Don't let your customers say, oh, but last year they gave me more or they gave me less. Yeah, a lot of things happen. The IRS made changes to the law, and that's probably one of the reasons why you see a change, right? It doesn't even have to do with anything you did or anything that happened to the customers, simply because the IRS made a change to the law. So that's something very important that we have to pay attention, right? Anytime you see a change, or sometimes anytime a customer is questioning you the results, think about, was there any change to the law between last year to this year? Because you might spend so much time looking for the answer, and then you can't find it because you're not looking in the right place, right? So if the law changed from last year to this year, of course there's going to be a change. And the customer, of course, the customer's not going to know that, because they're not focused on what the law changed or how the law changed. The customer is focused on how much money I'm getting back, right, and making sure that I get the maximum back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase who qualifies, and I'm going to focus only on how much, and that way we have more space to work. So we said how much, right? That was not point number 2. How much can I get? And we said this year $6,269. That's the maximum, right? $6,269. That's the maximum you can get. Perfect. So, but let's look at how this works. Number one, let's pay attention to how some of these calculations work, right? Remember, filing status, right? Single, We have married filing jointly. We have head of household. And I'm going to give you the examples only on this three, okay? Only on this three. There you go. So we have we have a little graph there going on. So the most important part here, and again, the system is going to make this math for you. You just have to understand the basics, right? So the most important part is, you'll see here, it's going to be, I'm going to write some numbers here. I'm going to write 0. I'm going to write 1, 2. You'll see why I'm writing this, and 3. All right. So hopefully you're paying attention to this example, and we have our chart here that we're going to build together, and we're saying that this right here, it's called qualifying children. Qualified children. This right here, right? So this right here, what I'm about to highlight here, those are my qualifying children. This is my filing status right there, right? So my qualifying children, either I have 0, I have 1, I have 2, or I have 3 qualifying children. All right? Make those notes. Pay attention to those notes. So I either have 1, 2, or 3 qualifying children. Okay? And then my filing status is either single, married filing jointly, head of household. And the whole point of this is to see who's able to get up to $6,293, right? Because you're not going to get it all. You can get up to $6,269, but someone here is going to be able to do that. So let me give you the example, right? If you're single, and I want you to write this down. If you're single and you want to qualify for head of household, I'm sorry, if you're single and you want to qualify for earned income credit, you need to earn no more than $14,880. Okay? Your income, if you're single and you want to qualify for earned income credit, you cannot earn more than $14,880. Okay? So write those notes. If you're single and you have 0 kids and you want to qualify, okay, and you want to qualify for earned income credit, then you cannot make any more than $14,880. And I'm going to make a change here because here in a minute you'll see what happens. All right. So what about if you have 1 child? If I have 1 child, I need more money to pay for that child, right? So shouldn't I be allowed to make more money and still get the credit? That's correct. If you're single and you have a child, the IRS says that if you have 1 child, you can earn up to $39,209. But remember, that changes your filing status, right? So now you are not single, you are head of household. Okay? So I'm going to bring up head of household up here, and I'm going to delete it from down there because your status just changed. It's actually 296 if you can make that change right there. Make that change right there. So If you are single but you have a kid, then the IRS just changed your filing status and said, hey, no, you're not single. You actually have a household. I'm going to allow you to make more money, so you can make up to $39,296, right? And still get the credit and still get part of the credit. Okay? What if you have two kids? What if you have two kids? What happens if you have two kids, right? Then the IRS says, yeah, you can make, now you're not single anymore because you have kids. You can make $44,648. So $48,648, right? Hopefully you can see that number there. That is a 2 right there. When we take the first break, we're going to move the board so that way you can see the situation better. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 kids, and then of course, if you have 3 kids, the IRS says, of course, you can make more money. You can make $49,495. $49,495. I'm going to make a change here. It's 955. These are fresh numbers. So the IRS says, yeah, of course you can make $49,955 and still qualify for the credit. Still qualify for the credit. Okay. So as you can see, if you are single and you have 0 kids, you can make up to $14,880, right? When you start having kids, 1, 2, 3 kids, the IRS says, yeah, but your filing status changed. Now you're not a single person anymore. You are a head of household. And you can make this amount. If you have 1 kid, you can make this amount. If you have 2 kids, you can make up to this amount. If you have 3 kids, you can have up to that amount. And if you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids, it doesn't matter. Those are the limits, right? So the IRS, and I want you to make this note. Please make this note. The IRS is only going to calculate on 3 kids. For the earned income credit, the IRS is only calculating on 3 kids. They're not going to use 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids. Okay, so that's a different credit, right? That's a different credit that we're going to be looking at. But if for the purposes of earned income credit, the IRS is going to calculate up to 3 kids only. All right. So we still have another filing status right here, right? Married, filing jointly. What about those people? What if you're married, filing jointly, and you have 0 kids? Can I get the credit? If I'm married and I file jointly, but I have no kids, can I get the credit? Can I get part of the credit? The answer is yes. But you cannot make any more than $20,430. Okay? You cannot make any more than $20,430. If you make more than if you make more than $20,430, then you are not going to be able to get any part of the credit. Okay? There you go. All right. Okay, Mr. IRS, I am married, filing jointly, and I have 1 kid. How much money can I earn to still be part of the credit, right? To still be able to obtain the credit. So $44,846. If you are married and you file jointly and you make no more than $44,846, you can still take part of the credit. I hope you're paying attention and you're understanding that this credit is not only about how many dependents I have, it's not only about how much taxes I paid, it's not only about how old my kids are, this is about how much money you make. And I'll tell you, when we finish this part of the class, I'll tell you why that's important. All right? What if I have 2 kids, IRS? Well, how much money do I have to make to still be part of the credit? $50,198. If you make $50,198 and you have 2 kids, if you make $50,191 or less and have 2 kids, you can still qualify for the earned income credit. You can still qualify for a portion of this, okay? I cannot stress the importance that you understand a portion of this. That doesn't mean that you're going to get it all, and I'll tell you why here in a second. Okay, Mr. IRS, one more last question. What about if I have 3 or more kids? I am married, filing jointly, and I have 3 or more kids. How much money can I make? You can make up to $53,505. Okay, $53,505. Hopefully you can see it there. Give it a second, and you can see the amount. $53,505. There you go. So there you have it. Something really important that you have to understand is that this credit is based on income limits. This credit is made for poor people, right? Poor people. So write that down. This credit is made for the poor. All right? This credit is made to assist the poor, those in need. So therefore, the more you make, the less credit you're going to get. The more you make, the less credit you're going to make. So check it out. It is understood. You know, everyone understands that the more kids you have, the more money you're going to spend feeding those kids. You know, you need a bigger house, you need a bigger car, you have more expenses. So the IRS is going to let you make more money and still give you part of the credit. But understand this: the more credit you make, or the more money you make, the less earned income credit you're going to receive. And then you also have to understand that if you make, it doesn't matter how many kids you have. If you make more money than this right here, than these 2 numbers, if you make more money than those 2 numbers, you are not going to get any part of the credit. So let's say that a family married, filing jointly. Let's say that that family made $53,560. Okay, what's the difference? The difference between this and that is $5. $5, right? $5. Actually, no, it's $55. $55. That's the difference between this and that. $55. But you're out. You cannot take the credit because you are out of the what's called the threshold, right? You are out of the bracket. So this is the limit. This is whenever you see a customer that has 5 kids and has income that is greater than this, do not expect the earned income credit because you know, you're not going to get it, right? That's the limit that the IRS has set up. Whenever, again, one more time, whenever you see a customer that has 3, 4 kids, or 1 kid, or 5 kids, it doesn't matter anymore how many kids you have. If you are over this income right here, any of those 2 incomes, you're out. You cannot take the earned income credit. So hopefully you're paying attention to this and you understand that the earned income credit is made to help families in need, poor families, right? They're going to give you a big credit so that you can help your family, so you can help sustain yourself throughout the year. So that's something that sometimes people do not understand as they're going through the process of earned income credit. They don't understand that this credit is not something that you can just take, that everybody can take. And then you get frustrated because the customer is asking you, hey, where's my credit? Where's my credit? And you can't find it simply because you haven't paid attention to the limits, right? So I'm going to show you one more thing before we do our first break. I'm going to show you one more thing here. Hopefully I can put it up on the screen. If not, I'm going to have to trying to put it in the screen for you. If not, I'm going to have to write it for you. So it looks like I'm going to have to write it for you. All right. I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Hopefully you have this notes. If not, remember you always have the video. I want you to imagine, right, that I'm going to say I want you to imagine a family, a couple of families, right? There's a family with 3 or more kids. 3 or more kids, all right? And then I'm talking about qualifying children, qualifying kids, okay? There's a family with 2 or more kids, okay? There's a family with 1 or more kids, and then there's a family with 0 kids, right? So no kids. There's a reason why I'm doing this, so I want you to understand very carefully. Based on the numbers that I just gave you, right? The family with 3 or more kids, it's more, it has more chances of getting the $6,269. Let me move this so you can see it better. I'm gonna write bigger. $6,269. Hopefully you can see that. There you go. That says $269,000. $6,269. $6,269. Okay. So the family of 3 or more kids is more has more chances of getting the $6,000, right? Based on 2 things: 3 or more kids and income limits. The income limits that I just showed you, okay? The income limits that I just showed you. All right? The system is going to make this math for you, but you need to understand the reasons why, right? You can't just tell the customer, oh, because the system says so. So what about the family with 2 or more kids? You're looking at an average of, I believe it's $5,572, right? $5,572, right? That's you'll see it based on, remember, based on income limits and the amount of kids, not just on the amount of kids, but based on the income limits. So we're talking about a married couple right now. We're talking about a married couple with 3 kids. Then we talked about a married couple with 2 kids. And I'm just giving you examples. So I'm going to write it up here so you don't misquote me. Examples. Okay? These are examples. Who has more chances of getting the maximum? People who have 3 or more kids and also are within the income limits that I showed you. Okay? What about someone who has 1 kid? Family, a married couple has 1 kid. $3,373. Okay? Those are examples of how much of the credit you can get. What about that married couple that has no children? Can they get some? Yeah, they can get $506, up to $506. Okay? Remember the 2 factors, right? I gotta have qualifying kids qualifying dependents, and I have to meet income limits. Okay? Hopefully you can see that here in a second. Give it a second and you'll be able to see it. So remember the two factors right there. I gotta have qualifying dependents, and I need to be able to be within the income limits. Qualifying dependents, and I also need to be able to be within the income limits. So I gotta have either 1, 2, 3 kids, and if I have 0 kids, I have to have, my income has to be very low, right? If we have no kids, my income has to be very low, right? Just like I showed you in that graph we just made a few minutes ago. But if I have kids, right? I have kids, I have to have qualifying kids, and those kids, as we said earlier, who qualifies? Remember that? Who qualifies? They need to be qualifying children. All right.
In the next portion, we will talk about child tax credit. This credit is given to families and taxpayers who have qualifying children under the age of 17.
Okay, child tax credit. All right, and not just that. Okay, we also need to talk about the additional child tax credit. Okay, so we're going to talk about one credit that is it's broken down in two. Okay, broken down in two. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually do this right here. Right. Let's talk about the child tax credit, and then let's talk about the additional tax credit as well. So there you go. I think that's a much better situation right there. Okay. Child tax credit, additional child tax credit. There's a few things I want you to understand about the child tax credit. This is the famous $1,000 per kid, right? $1,000 per qualifying child. Okay, $1,000 per qualifying child. All right. So a few things you need to know about it, right? $1,000. So that's number one. Number two is you need valid social or ITIN. ITIN. You can use ITIN or valid social. If you don't know what an ITIN is, we're going to be talking about ITIN. I believe we're going to talk about it on week number 3. The form, what forms you need to fill out, how do you get it, who gets it, and things of that nature, right? So ITIN, social or valid ITIN, okay? Very important. This is, remember the name of this, child tax credit. Taxes paid, okay? Taxes paid. It has everything to do with how much taxes you pay or you didn't pay. One more time. It has everything to do with how much taxes you pay or you didn't pay. So if you pay your taxes correctly, you're going to see some money coming back to you. Some money as a refund. If you didn't pay your tax correctly, this is going to help you with it. Okay, so this is meant for that. So last point, this credit, this portion of the credit is non-refundable. It's non-refundable. Let me rewrite this so you can see it better. Non-refundable. Hopefully you can see it better. There you go. None. What does that mean? What does that mean? That, but I thought I got $3,000 for. I'm sorry. I thought I got $1,000 per kid. Yeah, but it's not meant for it to come to you as a refund. It's meant for it to help you pay your taxes that you didn't pay correctly throughout the year. So I'm going to give you the example here of what this means. If let's say that I'm a single parent. I have a kid, so I'm a head of household, so they're going to give me $1,000 per kid. That doesn't mean that the money's coming, the $1,000 is coming into my pocket as a refund. It doesn't mean that. Remember, it's non-refundable. What it means is that this credit right here, they're going to give me the credit in a form of tax reduction. So, pay a lot of attention, please. If I was supposed to pay $2,000 in taxes throughout the year, right? This is an example. This is what I was supposed to pay the IRS. I was supposed to pay the IRS $2,000 in taxes throughout the year, but instead of claiming one dependent, I'm claiming 3 dependents or 2 dependents. I'm claiming more than what I can prove at the end of the year. So whenever I'm doing my taxes with Olga tells me that I owe the IRS, I'm going to owe the IRS $1,000, right? Or Olga's doing the taxes and she sees that when she puts in the W-2, she realizes that I only paid $1,000. So should have paid. Hopefully you can see that there. Should have paid $2,000, only paid $1,000. What does that mean? It means that I owe the IRS $1,000. Okay? That's what that means. It means I underpaid. I owe the IRS $1,000. But guess what? I have a non-refundable credit. So what that means is that Olga is going to apply those $1,000 to my balance, right? So she's going to apply the child tax credit to my balance. So now I have a zero. I don't have a refund. I don't have a refund, but I also don't owe the IRS money because this credit took care of it. All right? I'm going to give you another example. So this is the example with one kid, right? Okay? This is the example with one kid. Let's make the example with 2 kids. Make the example with 2 kids. So I'm going to use the same amounts. I'm going to use the same amounts. I should have paid the IRS $20,000. I'm sorry. I should have paid the IRS $2,000, but I only paid $1,000. So that means that I owe. That means that I owe $1,000 to the IRS. Oh, but guess what? I have 2 kids, right? 2 qualifying children. I have 2 qualifying children. So what that means is that Olga is going to apply the credit, and the credit is $2,000, right? So here I owe the IRS, and here the IRS is giving me $2,000, right? So what happens there? What's going to happen there is that whenever I do the math, it's going to show that I have a positive amount of $1,000, right? I have a positive amount of $1,000. Okay? So that means that the IRS, I owe the IRS $1,000, but the IRS gave me a credit of $2,000, $1,000 per kid. So 2,000 minus 1,000 equals 1,000, right? 2 minus 1 equals 1, right? So remember, in this case, I'm going to receive something called additional child tax credit. So this $1,000 become a refund. Okay? The $1,000 become a refund. Hopefully you understand that. The $1,000 become a refund. I get that money in my return as an additional income tax credit. Okay? But I want to be able to, I want you to understand this. I want you to understand this, okay? Not everyone qualifies for the additional child tax credit, okay? Again, not everyone qualifies for that. And who qualifies and who doesn't qualify? It's right here. If you have a valid Social Security number, if you and your kids have a valid Social Security number, you're going to qualify for that. If you only have ITINs, you're not going to get additional child tax credit, okay? So I just gave you the example of these people. Okay, they have a Social Security, all of them, right? The kids have Social Security, I have Social Security, right? So I got $2,000. The IRS gave me the additional income tax credit. But if you don't have a Social Security and you only have an ITIN, what's going to happen is that the IRS is going to say, here you go, you owe me $1,000. I give you a credit of $2,000, but I'm not giving you anything back. I'm only going to pay for the taxes that you owe me, right? But I'm not going to give you the additional income tax credit, right? So remember, these folks right here, the people who have ITINs, they do not receive that. Okay, they can't get it because these credits are made for residents and citizens of the United States. So if you don't have a valid Social Security, you're not going to get the extra. All right, you're not going to get the extra. You're still getting a credit, right? Because instead of owing the IRS $1,000, you're going to owe the IRS zero, right? You're going to owe the IRS zero, but they're not going to give you the difference. You know, that 2 minus 1, that 1,000, they're not going to give it back to you. Okay? So whenever you hear customers, you know, ask you those kind of questions or saying, hey, well, how come I didn't get this credit, right? How come I didn't get? No, you did get the credit. You did get the credit, except that the credit is non-refundable. You did get the child tax credit, right? You got it, but it's non-refundable. So what it did is that it paid for the taxes that you didn't pay throughout the year, right? So remember, if you don't pay enough, don't expect anything back, right? Especially if you're not in a legal status, because you basically have no credits, right? So remember, this is one thing you have to understand. It's non-refundable. If you didn't pay your taxes correctly, the credit is going to help you pay those taxes, right? But if you have a valid Social Security and there's a difference between the credit and what you owed, a positive difference, you might see that money come back. But if you don't have a Social Security, valid Social Security, you're not going to see it, right? So that's something I want to make sure you understand. The additional income tax credit, is only for people with valid Social Security, and it only works if when the IRS applied the credit, there was a positive difference. Okay, so when the IRS applied the credit, there was a positive difference. I owed $100. The IRS gave me a 100. I owed $100. The IRS gave me a $200 credit. So there's a difference, right? There's a difference. The IRS is going to keep $100 and send me the other 100 my way. But if I owe $100 and if I owe $100 and the IRS gives me $100, then there's nothing coming my way. If there's a difference and I have an ITIN, I'm not going to be able to get the extra, right? So this is basically how the earned income tax credit works. I'm sorry, the child tax credit works. You just got to make sure that you pay a lot of attention. It's non-refundable. The main portion of it is non-refundable. It's meant to help you pay your taxes. That's what I told you. If you don't pay your taxes correctly, there's not going to be any difference, right? The IRS is going to take all your credit and it's going to pay your taxes with it, and you're not going to see that money. So it's not as simple as what people think that, oh, I have 3 kids, I'm going to get $3,000. It doesn't work that way. You have 3 kids, you will see a credit of $3,000 in your income tax return. But the first thing that the credit's going to do is look for taxes that you haven't paid. And if he finds that you haven't paid taxes correctly throughout the year, it's simply going to pay for those taxes, and you're not going to see any money come as part of the additional income tax credit. So very simple explanation. Again, don't worry that you don't understand the whole process today. We're going to practice a lot.
In the next and final portion of this class, we will cover dependent care credit.
All right, cool. So let's talk about dependent care. Okay, note that I did not say child care. I didn't say, no, I say dependent care. The person has to be a qualified dependent, right? A qualified dependent could be a kid, or it could be an elder. As long as you can prove that that person is your dependent, you can claim this credit here. And I want you to understand the important stuff, right? Number one, how does it work, right? How does it work? And I want you to make those notes here. Number one is the IRS is going to allow you to report these expenses, right? So report expenses. Report expenses for child care, for dependent care, right? So let me explain. If you went to your mom's house, if you were having your mom watch your kids, if you had your if you took your kids to a daycare, that's a way that's one of the ways that you can report the expenses. So let's say that you had you took the kids to your mom, right? And then your mom watched the kids, and you want to report the expenses, right? So let's talk about here how much, right? How much can I report? How much can I report in expenses? And we're going to work these 2 topics at the same time. How much and how does it work and how much, right? So write this down. The IRS is going to allow you to report up to $3,000 in expenses for 1 kid, right? $3,000 for 1 dependent. So You can report up to $3,000, and up to $6,000 for 2 or more dependents. Okay, so there you go. There's your how much. You can report up to $3,000 for 1 dependent. You can report up to $6,000 for 2 or more. So if you have 3 kids, $6,000 is the limit, right, in expenses. If you have 5 kids, $6,000 is the limit for expenses. If you have 1 kid, $3,000 is your limit. Okay, I'm not saying that this is what they're going to give you back. No, that is the amount of expenses they're going to allow you to claim. Okay. For that, you need form, and we're going to add this to your materials, form 2441. Okay. We're going to be in the system adding these forms. You're also going to have some videos in your materials. So whenever you're watching, whenever you're doing your homeworks, whenever you're watching videos, you look for the materials, you'll see some videos, and you'll see that form 2441. It's very simple to fill out, but you're going to need a form 2441. In that form, you're going to tell the IRS who provided the services. You're going to tell the IRS who provided the services. You're also going to tell the IRS how much you paid for kids, for your dependents, or how much you pay for your dependents. You're going to tell the IRS how much you pay for your dependents. And I want you to make an extra note here. Who provided the services needs to be able to, whoever provided the services needs to be able to give you an EIN or Social Security number or ITIN. Okay? Whoever provided the services needs to be able to give you their employer identification number, their Social Security, or their ITIN. So if they're a company, they're going to give you a letter saying, hey, Melanie, this is how much money you paid us. Here's our company information. And here's also our EIN number. If it's a person, they should be able to provide you the same information, how much money they received from you, and their Social Security number or ITIN. If the person refuses to give you that information, you cannot claim this credit, right? You cannot claim this credit. You have to have that information because the IRS wants to go back to those people and say, hey, such and such paid you $5,000 for daycare, and you need to pay me taxes on those $5,000 because it's income. So remember that. Whoever provided you the services needs to be able to provide those details. And they also need to be able to provide how much, right? So this is pretty much how it works, right? This is how it works. This is how you are going to process the request, right? Understanding that for 1 kid, for 1 dependent, $3,000 or more. For 2 or more dependents, $6,000 or more in expenses, not in credit. That's not the credit they're going to give you, right? We're going to figure out the credit here in a few seconds, and then the how. So hopefully you have these notes because right now I'm going to go and do this credit situation right now. Okay. So credit. And we're going to close the class after this. Credit. In order for you to know how much credit you're going to receive, you need to know how much money you spent, right? So I'm going to say that I had one kid and that I spent $3,000. I spend the maximum, and I can prove it, right? How can I prove it? I have receipts, and I have the letter from the person who provided the services, and I spent $3,000. No, so these are expenses. All right, expenses. So this is very simple. The IRS has a chart, and it goes from 5% all the way to 33%. I'm sorry, it goes from 15% to all the way to 33%. So the chart goes from 15% to 33%, right? And what that means is that the IRS is going to say, based on your income, I'm going to determine how much I'm going to give you in credit. So based on income, I'm going to determine how much am I going to give you in credit, right? So remember, the more you make, the less credit you're going to get. The more you make, the less credit you're going to make. And we're going to add Form 2441 to your files as well for the study guide for you to study it, and you'll see the 15 to 33% there. So let's say that based on my income, I have a very low income. So the IRS says, you know what, we're going to allow you the 33%. So what the IRS is going to say is 3,000 times 33%. So your credit, my credit, it's going to be $990. Okay? It's as simple as that. So the IRS, basically what the IRS said it was 3,000. The expenses, based on my income, I qualify for the maximum, the 33%. So they're going to say times 33%, right, equals $990 in my credit. There's my credit right there. It's that simple. And then based on your income, this number right here can be 15%, 10%. Based on your income, that number right there can be 15%, 16%, 17%, and then that's going to create my credit. And I'll give you one more example, and then we're done. The IRS is going to say, you know what, Josh, you are not going to do 33%. We're going to do 21% for you, because based on your income, you qualify for 21%. So what's going to be my credit, right? Just make some simple math there and say $3,000 expenses times 21% equals $630, right? So now my credit is $630. That's it. That's how you calculate the dependent care credit. Remember, the system is going to do it for you. The system's going to do it for you. So you don't have to worry about the amount of time that you're going to be doing math, because you're not going to be doing math. But you got to understand why the customer, whenever you see those $630 in the customer's 1040 form, you got to know where it came from. You got to know how those $630 appeared or happened to appear in the form. So again, this is why we're focusing only on forms, and we're saying, hey, this is how the dependent credit works. Later on in the class, we're going to go into two systems, and we're going to put it in the system, and you're going to see how everything just makes sense.